The Miracle of Daily Habits, Poise, Power, Peace, and Freedom by Earl Nightingale. What if I told you that you hold in your possession right now the most powerful force in the universe? It's true. The magnificent instrument between your ears, your mind, is the greatest tool ever given to humankind. And unlike so many things in life, it's completely within your control. Your thoughts determine your reality. This isn't some fanciful idea. It's a fundamental law of life. We become what we think about most of the time. This simple truth has transformed ordinary people into extraordinary achievers throughout history. Think of your mind as a garden. The thoughts you plant today become the reality you harvest tomorrow. Plant seeds of doubt, worry, and limitation, and that's precisely what will grow. But plant seeds of possibility, confidence, and expectation, and watch how your life blossoms in magnificent ways. I've seen this magic work countless times. A salesman who sees himself succeeding before making a single call. A student who pictures herself graduating with honors long before exam day. A shy person who imagines speaking confidently before actually doing so. In each case, the thought preceded the reality. Your mental attitude is the one thing over which you have complete control. You can't always control circumstances, other people, or even all outcomes. But you can always, in every situation, control how you think. This gives you remarkable power. Consider the stories of those who achieved greatness despite terrible circumstances. Helen Keller, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Edison. Each faced obstacles that would have stopped most people cold. But in their minds, they refused to accept limitation. They thought differently, and their realities changed accordingly. The wonderful thing about this magic is that it works for everyone. It doesn't matter where you started in life or what disadvantages you face. Your thoughts are yours to command. Start paying attention to what you think about most often. Are your thoughts mostly concerned with what might go wrong? Do you dwell on past mistakes? Are you constantly thinking about what you lack? If so, you're programming your mind for precisely these outcomes. Try this experiment. For just 1 week, carry a small notebook with you. When you catch yourself thinking negatively, write it down. Then immediately rewrite that thought as a positive statement. I'll never get that promotion becomes, I'm preparing myself every day for greater opportunities. I'm too old to start something new, becomes my experience, gives me advantages others don't have. At day's end, review what you've written. You'll begin to notice patterns in your thinking. This awareness alone will start to change how your mind works. Remember, this isn't about ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about directing your mental energy toward solutions rather than problems, toward possibilities rather than limitations. The magic of your mind is always working, whether you're aware of it or not. It creates according to your dominant thoughts. Today, decide what you want those thoughts to be. Plant the garden of your mind with care and watch the magic unfold. Have you ever watched a ship leaving harbor, bound for distant shores? Before the captain ever lifts anchor, he knows precisely where he's going. The route is plotted, the destination clear. Without this guidance, the vessel would simply drift with the currents, at the mercy of wind and wave. And so it is with your life. The most successful men and women throughout history share one common trait. They knew what they wanted. They knew what they wanted. They set clear, definite goals and moved steadily toward them. A goal is nothing more than a dream with a deadline. It transforms the invisible into the visible. Consider this remarkable truth. Most people spend more time planning a 2-week vacation than they do planning their lives. Is it any wonder, then, that so many drift through the years wondering why fulfillment seems to elude them? When you set a goal, something magical happens. Your mind suddenly has direction. Instead of scattering your energies like sunshine on a field, you focus them like a magnifying glass, with power to light fires of achievement. Clear goals eliminate confusion. They answer the question that paralyzes so many. What should I do next? When you know your destination, each decision becomes simpler. Does this move me toward or away from my goal? The fog of indecision lifts, replaced by the clarity of purpose. There's a power in writing your goals that few understand. When thoughts remain only in your mind, they're like whispers in the wind, easily forgotten, easily changed. But the moment you commit them to paper, they gain substance. They become a contract with yourself, a declaration to the universe of your intentions. I've known men who carried their written goals in their pocket for years, reviewing them daily. Each glance reinforced their direction. Each reading renewed their commitment. Eventually, those written words transformed into lived reality. Your goals must be specific. Saying, "I want to be successful" or "I want more money" is like telling a taxi driver, "You want to go somewhere nice." Be precise. How much money? By what date? For what purpose? The more detailed your destination, the more likely you'll arrive there. Remember, too, that worthy goals should excite you. If your goals don't stir your heart when you think about them, they're probably too small. Dream big enough that part of you wonders if they're possible, yet concrete enough that you can begin taking steps today. The road to achievement is rarely straight. There will be detours, roadblocks, and unexpected turns. But with your compass set, you'll always find your way back to the path. Those without goals wander aimlessly when obstacles appear. Those with clear destinations simply find another route. Start today. Take a single sheet of paper and write down what you truly want from life. Be bold. Be specific. Be honest with yourself. Then read those goals morning and night, keeping them ever in your thoughts. For we move toward that which dominates our thinking, as surely as a plant grows toward the light. Have you ever watched a mason build a wall? Brick by brick, day after day, what begins as nothing slowly transforms into something magnificent. Your life works in exactly the same way. The magnificent cathedral of your life is built one humble brick at a time. We often marvel at excellence as though it were some distant peak accessible only to the gifted few. But excellence isn't some rare jewel found by chance. It's manufactured daily in the workshop of consistent action. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. Aristotle understood this centuries ago, and it remains one of life's most powerful truths. The small choices you make today may seem insignificant. Reading 10 pages, saving a few dollars, speaking kindly to a stranger, yet these modest actions, performed faithfully day after day, create the structure of an extraordinary life. Consider the miracle of compound interest in your bank account. $1 alone seems hardly worth the effort, but that dollar, consistently joined by others and given time to grow, eventually creates wealth that appears miraculous to those who don't understand the principle. Your habits work exactly the same way. The most successful people I've encountered in my years of study share one common trait. They understand that consistency matters more than intensity. The person who exercises moderately for years will far outpace the enthusiast who exhausts themselves for a week and quits. The writer who produces one page daily will complete novels, while the dreamer who waits for inspiration stares at blank pages. Your daily habits are the invisible architects of your destiny. Each small action is a vote for the person you wish to become. Want to be healthy? Each nutritious meal casts a vote for that future self. Want to be financially secure? Each dollar wisely saved speaks on behalf of that vision. Most people dramatically overestimate what they can accomplish in a day, leading to frustration and giving up. Yet these same people drastically underestimate what they can accomplish in a year of small, consistent efforts. This misunderstanding robs many of the lives they could have built. The truly powerful understand that transformation happens gradually. Then suddenly, like water that heats 1 degree at a time until, seemingly all at once, it begins to boil. Your habits work the same way. Begin today with one small, positive habit. Perhaps 15 minutes reading or walking or working on that dream that whispers to you in quiet moments. Do it again tomorrow, and the next day. Don't break the chain. Watch with patience and wonder as the miracle unfolds. Remember, the distance between where you are and where you want to be is rarely crossed by giant leaps. It's the humble step taken day after day that carries you to new heights. Excellence isn't born in extraordinary moments. It's forged in ordinary ones, repeated with devotion over time. The miracle of daily habits awaits you. What small, powerful action will you take today? The most important journey you'll ever take isn't measured in miles or kilometers. It's the 6 inches between your ears, the space that contains your mind. This small distance represents the greatest battlefield you'll ever encounter, the most challenging terrain you'll ever navigate, and ultimately the source of your greatest triumphs. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to accomplish remarkable things while others, with similar or even greater advantages, achieve very little? The difference isn't found in external circumstances, but in that 6-inch journey within. Your greatest obstacles are rarely physical, they are mental. The barriers of doubt, fear, and negative thinking stand like stone walls between you and your dreams. But unlike physical walls, these mental barriers can be dissolved instantly when you change your thinking. Consider this truth: whatever you believe with feeling becomes your reality. If you believe something is impossible for you, it is. If you believe you can accomplish something, you can. Your mind doesn't distinguish between what is actually impossible and what you merely believe is impossible. It simply accepts your dominant thoughts as instructions to be carried out. Many years ago, I learned that fear is just a thought, and thoughts can be changed as easily as changing your clothes. When fear appears, recognize it for what it is. Not a statement of fact, but merely a thought passing through your mind. You can acknowledge it, then replace it with a thought of confidence and capability. This 6-inch journey is not traveled once, but continuously throughout each day. With each challenge that arises, you make a choice. Will you think thoughts of limitation, or thoughts of limitation, or thoughts of possibility? Will you focus on what might go wrong or what could go wonderfully right? The quality of your life is determined not by what happens to you, but by how you think about what happens to you. Two people can experience the exact same event. One sees disaster, while the other sees opportunity. Same event, different 6-inch journey. Practice managing this journey by catching yourself when negative thoughts arise. Don't fight them or scold yourself. Simply notice them and gently redirect your thinking. Like training a puppy to follow a new path, your mind needs patient, consistent guidance. Doubt and confidence cannot occupy your mind at the same time. Each moment offers a choice between the two. Choose confidence repeatedly, and it becomes your mental habit. Begin your practice with a mirror declaration. Write 3 positive statements about yourself. Not wishful thinking, but truthful acknowledgments of your capabilities and worth. Each morning for the next 30 days, look into your own eyes in the mirror and speak these declarations aloud with conviction and feeling. This simple practice may feel uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is merely resistance from old thinking patterns. Continue despite the discomfort, and soon you'll notice a subtle shift in how you perceive yourself and your possibilities. The 6-inch journey is the most important distance you'll ever travel. Master this journey and you'll discover that the person who can manage their thinking can manage their life. And a well-managed life is a magnificent achievement indeed. There is a law as constant as gravity itself that governs every aspect of our lives. This law, S, is the law of cause and effect. Everything that happens in your life happens because something caused it. For every effect in your life, there is a specific cause. Think of this world as a vast farm. What you plant today determines what you'll harvest tomorrow. Plant corn and corn is what you'll get. Plant nothing and weeds will grow. This isn't philosophy. It's a practical truth that can transform your life. When I was a young man, I noticed something fascinating about successful people. They took responsibility for everything in their lives. Everything. They didn't blame the economy, their upbringing, or other people for their circumstances. They understood that they were the primary creative force in their own lives. The moment you accept complete responsibility for everything in your life is the moment you gain true power. It's like finding the control panel to your destiny. When you say, "I am responsible," you're really saying, "I am in control." Many people go through life reacting to circumstances, feeling like victims of forces beyond their control. But those who understand the law of cause and effect know better. They know that they can create the effects they want by setting the right causes in motion. Did you do poorly on a test? Don't blame bad luck. Ask yourself what you could have done differently in your preparation. Did a relationship end? Rather than pointing fingers, consider what lessons you can learn. Your car broke down. Perhaps there were warning signs you ignored. This isn't about blame. It's about power. When you take responsibility, you gain the power to change. When you blame others, you surrender that power. Remember, there are no failures in life, only feedback. Each seeming setback provides valuable information about what doesn't work. Thomas Edison found thousands of ways not to make a light bulb before discovering the one way that worked. He saw each attempt not as failure, but as necessary feedback on his path to success. The most successful people in history have been those who persistently learned from results, adjusted their approach, and tried again. They understood that persistence in the face of temporary defeat is the ultimate cause that produces the effect of achievement. What seeds are you planting today? Are you setting in motion causes that will create the effects you desire? Are you taking actions today that your future self will thank you for? Your habits, your thoughts, your words, and your actions. These are the causes you set in motion every single day. And as surely as night follows day, specific effects will follow these causes. Take charge of the causes in your life, and you will determine the effects. Plant the right seeds today, tend them carefully, and you will reap a harvest beyond your expectations. This is the simple, powerful truth of the law of cause and effect. The most valuable asset you possess isn't found in your bank account or your physical abilities. It's the power of your mind. Yet, in our modern world filled with constant noise and endless distractions, we rarely give our minds the quiet time they desperately need to function at their highest level. Think about this. Every great idea, every brilliant solution, and every moment of clarity you've ever experienced likely came during a moment of mental stillness, when your mind was free from the bombardment of information and demands that typically fill your day. I've observed that the most successful men and women throughout history have understood this principle. They created space in their lives for regular periods of quiet reflection. Benjamin Franklin took daily air baths, time alone with his thoughts. Thomas Edison would sit holding ball bearings over metal pans, allowing himself to drift into a state between wakefulness and sleep where creative ideas would emerge. These weren't idle moments. They were productive use of the most powerful tool they possessed. Your mind works in fascinating ways when given the gift of silence. Problems that seemed impossible to solve suddenly reveal their solutions. Confusion gives way to clarity. And the voice of wisdom within you, that quiet inner knowledge that knows what's truly important, can finally be heard above the noise. Many people resist quiet time because they've never practiced it. The moment they try to be still, a flood of thoughts and worries rushes in. This is normal. Just as your muscles might protest when you first begin exercising, your mind might resist when you first attempt to quiet it. But with practice, this resistance fades. Start small. Find just 10 minutes in your day, perhaps early in the morning before others are awake or during your lunch break. Sit in a comfortable position. Breathe deeply and simply allow your mind to settle. Don't force anything. Just be present with whatever thoughts arise, watching them float by like clouds in the sky. You'll be amazed at how quickly this simple practice begins to transform your thinking. Decisions that once seemed difficult become clear. Creative solutions appear as if by magic, and a sense of calm confidence begins to replace anxiety and scattered thinking. Some of my most valuable ideas have come during these quiet moments. I keep a small notebook nearby because I've learned that insights often arrive unexpectedly during these periods of stillness. One such idea, jotted down during my morning quiet time, eventually became a program that reached millions of people. Your mind is like a clear pool of water. When it's constantly stirred up by external input, you can't see beneath the surface. But when you allow it to become still, you can see all the way to the bottom where the treasures lie. Give yourself the gift of quiet time each day and watch as your thinking becomes clearer, your decisions become wiser, and your life becomes more purposeful. This simple practice costs nothing, requires no special equipment, and can be done almost anywhere, yet its effects on your life will be profound. In the quiet, you'll find your power. There's a magic moment in every worthwhile endeavor that few people talk about. It's that moment when you actually begin, when you take that first real step toward your dream. Now, I've studied the lives of successful men and women for decades, and I can tell you with certainty that this single act, beginning, separates the achievers from the dreamers. You see, most people live their entire lives waiting for the perfect moment to start. They're waiting for their fears to disappear, for the path to become clear, for someone to give them permission. They're waiting for courage to arrive like a package on their doorstep, but that's not how courage works. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in the face of fear. When you begin, despite your doubts, despite the butterflies in your stomach, despite not knowing exactly how things will turn out, that's when you discover the courage that was within you all along. Think about a child learning to ride a bicycle. The child doesn't wait until the fear of falling disappears. No, the child gets on the bike, wobbles terribly, perhaps falls a few times, but keeps trying. And what happens? The very act of trying, of beginning, builds the skill and confidence needed to succeed. This principle applies to every area of your life. Want to write a book? Write the first page. Want to start a business? Serve your first customer. Want to improve your health? Take that first walk around the block. I remember talking with a gentleman who had built a very successful manufacturing company. I asked him how he found the courage to start with no experience and limited resources. He laughed and said, "Earl, I didn't find courage and then start. I started and then found I had more courage than I thought." That's the secret that achievers know. Action creates courage. Action creates confidence. Action creates results. Most of us vastly overestimate the risks of beginning and underestimate the risks of waiting. While we wait for perfect conditions, life passes us by. Opportunities fade, and the regret of inaction grows heavier with each passing year, with each passing year. Here's a simple truth. You will never feel completely ready. The stars will never perfectly align. There will always be reasons to hesitate, to postpone, to wait just a little longer. But those who make their mark in this world are those who begin anyway. What dream have you been postponing? What goal have you been putting off until someday? What conversation have you been avoiding? What project sits unstarted? I challenge you today to take that first step. It needn't be a perfect step. It need only be in the right direction. For in beginning, you set in motion forces that will carry you forward. You activate your potential. You discover resources within yourself that you didn't know existed. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles truly does begin with a single step. And that step requires only one thing, the courage to begin. Did you know that when the strings of a violin are too loose, they produce no music at all? And when they're wound too tight, they snap under the pressure? Just like those violin strings, your life requires the proper tension. Not too much, not too little, to create beautiful music. Balance S is not some passive state of being. It's an active, dynamic achievement that you must work at each day. Think of yourself as a tightrope walker, constantly making small adjustments to maintain your position high above the crowd. One misstep to either side can lead to a fall. The most successful people I've encountered in my years of study share this common trait. They understand the delicate balance between work and rest, between striving and appreciating, between speaking and listening. They know that excellence doesn't come from doing one thing to the extreme, but from harmonizing all parts of life. Picture a totter on a playground. When one side goes too far up, the other touches the ground. Many of us live this way. When work rises, family time hits bottom. When health becomes a focus, business goals get neglected. But what if you could find that sweet spot in the middle where everything stays in play? You can. And you must, if true excellence is your aim. Start by examining the 4 quadrants of your life: work, relationships, health, and personal growth. Rate yourself from 1 to 10 in each area. Where are you riding high? Where are you riding high? Where have you hit the ground? Now comes the important part, the adjustment. Balance doesn't mean equal time for everything. That's a recipe for mediocrity across the board. Instead, think of balance as giving appropriate attention to each area according to your life's purpose and current season. Sometimes your work will demand more. Other times, a relationship needs extra care. The key is conscious choice rather than neglect. When you shortchange one area, do it deliberately with a plan to restore balance later. I've found that the most powerful way to maintain balance is through what I call sacred boundaries. These are the lines you draw that nothing and no one can cross. Perhaps it's dinner with your family each night at 6. Maybe it's your morning hour of exercise and reflection. Whatever matters most to you, protect it fiercely. Balance looks different for each person. Your symphony won't sound like anyone else's. The businessman who loves his work might spend 12 hours at the office and feel perfectly balanced if those hours energize rather than drain him. The mother of young children might find her balance heavily weighted toward family for a season. The quality that marks the truly excellent life is not rigid equality between activities, but harmony. That sense that everything is working together toward your highest purpose. So tonight, take stock of your life's instruments. Which sections of your orchestra are playing too loudly? Which are too quiet to be heard? Make your adjustments with care and listen as your life begins to play the music it was meant to create, the beautiful, balanced symphony of excellence. Time is the most precious gift we possess. Yes, it's the one resource that can never be replaced, manufactured, or stored up for future use. Each of us receives exactly the same amount each day. Each of us receives exactly the same amount each day. 24 golden hours. No more, no less. The difference between achievement and mediocrity lies not in how much time we have, but in how we choose to invest these precious moments. I've observed through my years that most people treat time casually, as if it were an endless commodity. They let hours slip through their fingers like sand, never to be recovered. But the men and women who accomplish great things understand a fundamental truth. Time must be respected, protected, and invested wisely. Think about it this way. If someone gave you $86,400 every single day, but with one condition, that you must spend it all that same day or lose whatever remains, how carefully would you manage that money? With what attention would you allocate each dollar? Well, so that's exactly what happens with the seconds in your day. Each day deposits 86,400 seconds into your life account. At midnight, whatever remains unused is forever lost. Excellence demands that we become good stewards of our time. This doesn't mean filling every moment with frantic activity. Rather, it means making conscious choices about how we spend the hours we're given. The secret lies in distinguishing between what is merely urgent and what is truly important. The telephone rings. That's urgent. Playing catch with your child. That's important. Responding to a last-minute request. That's urgent. Working on your life's purpose. That's important. Can you see the difference? Most people spend their days putting out fires, responding to the urgent, while the important things, the things that truly matter, get pushed aside for someday. But excellence knows no someday. Excellence lives in the choices you make today. I recommend a simple practice that has served many successful people well. Each evening, take a clean sheet of paper and write down the 6 most important tasks for tomorrow. Not 20 tasks, just 6. Arrange them in order of importance. When tomorrow comes, begin with the first task and stay with it until it's complete. Then move to the second, and so on. You'll be amazed at how this simple discipline transforms your productivity. Rather than scattering your energy across a dozen half-finished projects, you'll complete the things that matter most. Even if you only finish 2 or 3 top items, you'll have accomplished more of significance than most people do in a full day of busy work. Remember, time is neutral. It passes regardless of what we do with it. Time favors no one, not the rich, not the powerful, not the educated. Time simply flows at its steady pace. But when we learn to invest our time in the things that matter most, In our growth, our relationships, our purpose, we transform ordinary hours into extraordinary achievements. Let us resolve today to treat our time with the respect it deserves. For in doing so, we honor both the gift of life itself and our capacity for excellence within it. Life rewards the grateful heart. When we truly understand this simple truth, we unlock one of the greatest secrets to living with excellence. Gratitude isn't just a pleasant emotion. It's a powerful force that transforms our experience of life itself. The world around us is filled with wonders that most people take for granted. The miracle of sight, the gift of another day, the marvel of human relationships. These treasures surround us constantly, yet remain invisible to those who rush through life without pausing to notice and appreciate it. Have you ever considered that the very air you breathe is a gift? That each sunrise brings opportunities that millions who died yesterday would treasure? That the ability to read these words is an extraordinary privilege denied to many around the world? These aren't small blessings. They're magnificent gifts that deserve our recognition. The grateful person possesses a special kind of wealth that cannot be measured in dollars and cents. While the ungrateful person might have everything materially yet feel poor, the grateful person can find abundance even in modest circumstances. Gratitude, you see, is the great multiplier of joy. You can begin cultivating this garden of gratitude today, right where you are. Start by noticing 3 things each morning for which you're thankful. They needn't be grand or spectacular. Perhaps it's the comfortable bed you slept in, the hot coffee in your cup, or the smile of someone you love. By directing your attention to these gifts, you're planting seeds that will grow into a harvest of contentment. Our minds work in a fascinating way. Whatever we focus on expands in our awareness. When we focus on problems, our world becomes problems. Our world becomes problem. When we focus on blessings, our world becomes blessing. Centered, the circumstances might be identical, but the experience is entirely different. Consider 2 people facing the same rainy day. One curses the inconvenience, the wet clothes, the gloomy skies. The other appreciates the nourishment for plants. The other appreciates the nourishment for plants, the fresh smell in the air, and the cozy feeling of being inside while listening to the rhythmic patter on the roof. Same rain, completely different experiences. The practice of gratitude doesn't just make us feel better. It literally rewires our brains. Scientists have discovered that regularly expressing thankfulness increases happiness, reduces depression, improves sleep, and even strengthens our immune systems. Excellence in life becomes possible when we maintain this attitude of appreciation. Gratitude isn't dependent on perfect circumstances. Some of history's most grateful people faced tremendous hardships. Their secret was focusing not on what they lacked, but on what remained. When we lose something, we can lament its absence or treasure what still exists. This choice determines much of our life experience. Begin today to speak the language of gratitude. Notice the small miracles that surround you. Thank the people who make your life better. Appreciate your own strengths and abilities. As you cultivate this garden of gratitude, you'll find yourself experiencing more poise in difficulty, more power in your endeavors, more peace in your heart, and more freedom in your spirit. This is the art of living with excellence. Success isn't a straight line, friends. It's a road with curves, bumps, and occasional detours that might make you wonder if you're headed in the right direction at all. But I'm here to tell you that persistence is the magic key that unlocks every door worth opening in this life. Think about water for a moment. A single drop doesn't seem powerful, does it? But that same drop, falling consistently in the same spot, can wear away solid stone over time. That's the miracle of persistence. It's not about dramatic single acts, but rather the relentless forward motion that creates extraordinary results. I've studied successful people from all walks of life. Do you know what separates them from everyone else? It's not talent alone, or luck, or even intelligence. It's their unwillingness to give up. When Thomas Edison was working on the light bulb, he failed over 1,000 times before finding success. When a reporter asked how it felt to fail so many times, Edison replied, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." That's the mindset you need to develop. Each setback is simply a step on your journey to success. Each no gets you closer to the yes you're seeking. Each mistake teaches you what doesn't work, narrowing the path to what doesn't work, narrowing the path to what does. The trouble is, most people quit just before their breakthrough moment. They work hard, face challenges, grow weary, and walk away, often when success was just around the next corner. Don't let that happen to you. Persistence doesn't mean blindly doing the same thing repeatedly, hoping for different results. True persistence means staying committed to your goal, while being flexible about the method. If one approach isn't working, try another. Learn from each attempt, adjust your strategy, and move forward again. Remember the story of the prospector who dug for gold for years without success? After giving up and selling his claim, the new owner found gold just 3 feet from where the original prospector had stopped digging. Don't be that prospector. Develop your persistence muscle by practicing these simple habits. First, reconnect with your why every morning, the deeper purpose behind your goals. Second, celebrate small victories along the way to keep your motivation strong. Third, expect obstacles and plan for them in advance. And finally, surround yourself with persistent people whose determination will inspire your own. When you feel like quitting, remind yourself that most people do quit, and that's precisely why most people don't reach their full potential. Your persistence is what sets you apart. As Calvin Coolidge wisely noted, nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Determination alone are omnipotent. So today, make this commitment. I will persist without exception. I will treat obstacles as stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. And in doing so, I will develop the single quality that guarantees my success in any worthy endeavor I choose to pursue. There's a marvelous story about a young man who once approached a master sculptor. The sculptor was working on a magnificent elephant carved from a single block of marble. The young man watched in awe as the sculptor's hands moved with precision and purpose. Finally, he asked, "How do you create something so beautiful from a block of stone?" The sculptor smiled and said, "It's simple, really. I just chip away everything that doesn't look like an elephant." My friends, that's the very essence of excellence. Excellence isn't some mysterious quality possessed only by the gifted few. It's available to each of us right now, today. Excellence is simply the result of consistently chipping away at everything in our lives that doesn't represent our highest and best. Throughout our journey together, we've explored the foundations of a life well lived, the poise that comes from self-mastery, the power that springs from disciplined thought, the peace that emerges from accepting responsibility for our lives, and the freedom that results from making deliberate choices. Now it's time to put it all together. Excellence isn't something you do occasionally. It's a way of life, a habit of mind and action that separates the extraordinary from the merely ordinary. Excellence doesn't require perfection. The pursuit of excellence means giving your best in this moment with what you have, where you are. It means approaching each task, each conversation, each opportunity with the question, how can I bring my highest self to this situation? The art of excellence is practiced in the small moments of life. It's choosing patience when you feel rushed. It's speaking kindly when you feel frustrated. It's persisting when you feel like quitting. Excellence is a choice you make moment by moment, day by day. But here's what most people miss. Excellence is contagious. When you commit to excellence in one area of your life, it naturally spreads to other areas. When you make your bed with care each morning, you're more likely to approach your work with the same attention to detail. When you speak with integrity in one conversation, you're strengthening the habit of truthfulness in all your relationships. I've often observed that those who achieve greatness aren't necessarily more talented than others. They simply hold themselves to a higher standard in everything they do. They refuse to make excuses. They don't blame circumstances. They accept full responsibility for the quality of their lives. My challenge to you is this. For the next 7 days, approach everything you do as a craftsman. Whether you're writing an email, preparing a meal, having a conversation with a loved one, or completing a project at work, bring your full attention and commitment to excellence to the task. Watch what happens. Notice how your relationship with yourself changes. Observe how others respond differently to you. Feel the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're living at your highest level. Excellence isn't a destination. It's a continuous journey of becoming. And the wonderful secret is that the rewards of excellence come not just in your achievements, but in who you become along the way. This is the art of excellence in action. This is your life of poise, power, peace, and freedom.